Welcome to the channel. My name is Zerolas Bramatis and I'm from FormCheck AI. And in today's video, I'm going to compare an AI that I built and stack that up against Mark Rippetoe coaching on the platform.
All right, listen. The Terminator's an infiltration unit. Part man, part machine. Underneath, it's a hyperalloy combat chassis. Microprocessor controlled.
Before we begin, I'm going to show and play a few clips from Mark Rippetoe's podcasts around answering questions related to AI and how it can be used in strength training. So let's begin by playing the clip. Note that I did edit down the clip, and if you want to listen to the entire clip, it's the Q&A session from June 2nd, 2021.
Will machines be developed that are better strength coaches than SSCs? All right, here's a scenario. All right, now if you're strictly online coaching and you don't actually coach anyway, all you do is video review, we can probably come up with a program to replace you, and that'd be good. If that's all you do with your profession, then you need to be replaced by a program. You need to be replaced by an algorithm, absolutely. But for people that actually coach on the platform, that interact personally with their clients, you can't substitute a device for that personal interaction.
Okay, so I totally agree with Rip here. I don't think we are close to building an AI that can completely replace everything that a coach has to offer. However, as he noted, there likely are portions of strength training, particularly online coaching, that can and should be automated. Things like form checks that don't really rely on that personal interaction on the platform. I used to, manage an analytics team for one of the largest banks in the world. And one of the things that we saw was that, look, customers wanted to use ATMs to withdraw cash, do online banking for transactions, and still wanted to talk to a personal banker when they needed to do things like get a loan or they needed financial advice. So I think, there's an opportunity in strength training as well where, technology and AI can supplement personalized coaching and be used as a tool.
Look, I am not stupid, They cannot make things like that yet.
So with that, let's go on and, listen on to the next clip.
I can tell you with 95% certainty how to fix every squat problem with 5 or 6 different corrections that I can make. I can fix 95% of squat problems, but that's not why people hire me to coach them.
Again, I agree with Rip here, and he acknowledges that teaching the squat involves mostly getting a handful of things right in 95% of the cases. Obviously, there's some magic in appropriately combining and timing these 5 factors correctly. That is where I think an AI can help in doing the math and the geometry in the background, given a person's movement pattern, and spit out the appropriate recommendation, given something like Rip's starting strength model, as he laid out, of course, in the Blue Book. And here's a final clip before I go into the AI coaching comparison.
There's no reason that a device, a mirror, a phone can't coach a squat. It will do a better job than a human coach in terms
than
of
a bad human coach. Certainly.
No, I think it'll do a better job than the best human coach on the technical aspect of it. But you don't have the human interaction, which is the reason.
That's not why you pay.
Which is the
coach.
reason that people pay a coach.
The number one thing we hear from personal training clients: what does the coach provide? Accountability.
All right, here I think, look, Nick has the good foresight to see that AI will eventually be able to do an even better job than a human coach in the technical aspects of the squat. And, where a human coach will continue to excel and flourish is in providing things like motivation, guidance, and, as Rip noted, really accountability. So let's get on the platform, so to speak, and see how an AI coach stacks up against Rip. I'll present 4 use cases here, which will show first Rip's coaching session on the platform and feedback, and then I'll present the AI and run that data through the AI, and we'll take a look at that output. So let's take a look at the first clip.
Good. Toes out. Good. Okay. Chest up as high as you can get it. See, chest up comes out of this upper back musculature. Okay. Eyeballs down there. Great big giant breath and hold it. Good.
Overall, she had a very good form on this rep, as indicated by the overall AI score of 86 out of 100. Rip did an awesome job getting her into a solid starting position. As you can see from the algorithm's augmented reality view, most of the body key points are colored green. The algo did note 2 red dots, indicating further improvement opportunities. She could lower her head an inch or 2, and there's also a red dot on her left foot, but this might just be a little noise in the algo, given that she has longer pant legs that are partially obscuring her feet in this view. Now for the bottom position, the algo calculates that she is likely going a little bit too deep, also indicated by the red dots on her hips, which are below the green targets, which indicate the optimal position for her. Also, like the starting position, she could lower her eye gaze more towards the floor, as Rip actually also initially instructed her to do. So overall, the algo backtest in this scenario is pretty solid and did a great job of correctly flagging Rip's position while identifying a couple opportunities for improvement. So let's move on to the next use case.
Lift the chest, put the chin down. Raise that up like this. Now put the chin down at the same time. Reach up for my hand with your chest. Put the chin down. There's the position. You got to hold that. Look at the floor. Knees out. Drive hips. Okay. You're having a tendency to change the back angle on the way up. See, the chest stays in position.
Again, great coaching by Rip. The AI here in this scenario produced an overall form score of 82. And look, Rip gets this gentleman into an almost perfect starting position. All the dots are green, and the starting position score here is 91. However, the bottom position only scores an 81, and we have some recommendations from the algo here as well. The main recommendation here is clearly to go deeper, as indicated by both the red dots and the noticed in the recommendations section table at the bottom of this dashboard. Additionally, the algo recommends a wider knee position and lowering both the head and elbow position. Rip, of course, also mentions these items, cueing him to widen his knees and drive the hips. Okay, moving on.
Look down, chin down. Reach out with your knees, reach back with your hips. Use the hips. This is not a front squat. That was exactly right. Don't relax that lumbar at the bottom. Keep it tight. Not quite so deep. That's better. We don't want to go below parallel at the expense of, lower the bar, at the expense of lumbar tight. Okay? Head down. I want you to cut this off. Cut it off. See, that's still below parallel squat. Do it again, and your back stayed nice and tight that time. Much better, much better. Do one more. Nail that down. Good. Rack it. I don't know. You still roll the bar back up on top of your traps, though.
On this video, we have another solid starting position. The main opportunities here are really for him to lower the bar on his back a little bit, which, of course, Rip also indicated, and probably bring in his hands a little bit. He might have a little bit of a shoulder flexibility issue, which, a user would have to, interpret, or, a human coach would be able to pick up on that. Moving on to the bottom position, look, very solid here. The algo does show a few red dots, one on his left elbow, which you can tell is a little higher than the right elbow. So it recommends lowering it. And lastly, it also suggests an opportunity to narrow his knees a little bit on the way up. And let's take a look at the final use case and then wrap up this video.
Okay, now remember, it's not a front squat. All right, don't lead with this. Hip drive right there. Ready? Big breath, look down will help. That's it, lower the chin. Excellent job. 2. Maybe you need to not quite go so deep because you're way below parallel anyway.
Well, on this one here, there really isn't much to say or add. I mean, this is a near perfect rep, a score of 90 out of 100. You really can't get much better in terms of the starting position here. All green dots and a score of 95. The bottom position is also, a case study of near perfect form. There are a couple of red dots due to his hand width on the bar, but that's probably just, because this is a little bit of a bigger dude. A point of differentiation here is that, Rip notes that, he could maybe not go so deep. The AI does not list this as a recommendation. Although if you look closely, the green dots are pretty close to the bottom of the target zone. So probably another inch or less and it would have triggered the dots to turn red. And this gives you sort of an indication of the AI tolerance level here, but also shows how Rip's eye and experience level might pick up on some additional nuances which the AI just isn't quite calibrated for. To wrap things up in this video, I presented 4 use cases here that demonstrate and show how an AI stacks up against Mark Rippetoe on the platform, and really specifically related to form checks. And look, certainly there's a lot more to strength coaching than just doing form checks, but this is one technical area which really shines in terms of being able to use an AI to precisely get a person into the correct position, both in the starting position as well as the bottom position, and tracking the movement in between. Obviously, there's still a lot of limitations to this approach. Look, the algo is going to require a straight-on camera angle, and human eye would be able to detect forms from various different angles, and also look at a person or a video which might be partially obscured by something, right? But I think that's easily solved with correct camera placement and just a little bit of pre-planning and getting that correct. Outside of form checking and tracking your workouts, a human coach like Mark Rippetoe or a starting strength coach clearly still has the advantage over an AI, by a long shot. But a tool such as this, I think, can be used to augment a human coach for some of the technical form check aspects, or it might be a tool used by beginners that can't, afford or don't have access to a personalized coaching experience.
Just let me go. Listen and understand that Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop, ever.
Although there's a ton of information online, tutorials, forums to do form checks, and videos, I think a lot of that information is very suspect and highly variable, and the quality of it is mostly quite poor. And you just don't know if you're getting good advice from that information. So I think a tool, an AI, can be standardized, it can be back tested, and it's data driven, and it's repeatable. You know what you're going to get. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will leave you with this last clip from that podcast with Mark Rippetoe.
Would a client prefer to deal with a machine or with you?